So 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to leave an 18-year corporate job, and I had a year or two to spend some time reading about what was happening in the world around me, and realized that there were some very significant trends at work in the world that were going to be shifting the way business operated going forward, and that what was missing was a place for companies to safely talk about the difficulty of moving to sustainability without being afraid of being criticized for their imperfection. Yes. It's been very interesting to watch the market trends in the United States and around the world over the last 10 years. When I first started the company in 2004, there was really no understanding about what sustainability was. And what I was really interested in doing was trying to help individuals who understood inside the companies make the business case. So help them explain what the market drivers were that were going to create opportunity for business. And since that time, now most companies in the United States understand that there is a market need and that there is a requirement for them to change their standard operating procedure. And now our task is more to help solve the problem of how you do that. So we are at that place inside corporate America in the United States where the problem now is how do you make the change, not should you. As far as the consumer base goes, in 2007 maybe there was a big confluence of very visible incidents that drove public awareness that included Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and the very significant damage that the natural disaster had on that community. And then I think you all know Al Gore's movie Inconvenient Truth. That movie had a lot of impact in the consumer base, and since then there have been a growing number of documentaries that really talk about the complexities of environmentally related products. And so the awareness in the consumer base is much higher now than it has been even in the last 5 years. Yes, I think two things really have affected consumer behavior. One is the financial environment of the last couple of years. People still are very interested in being green, but they are definitely price conscious, and I think that's to a degree always been true. Certainly the early adopters of luxury green products didn't care about price, but for the mainstream consumer, price parity has always been an issue. So I think that continues to be an issue. The good news is that there's more and more interest now. There's more and more opportunity now for companies to create price parity in the environmentally conscious products that they produce. So it's becoming a little bit less of an issue. But price is always an issue. The other thing, though, is an issue in the U.S. at least is just fatigue about the conversation. We call it green fatigue. There's the question of confusion over how to evaluate all of the many eco-labels that are coming to market. Consumers don't know what to trust. They don't understand how to make good choices. And so more than the financial problem, it's just the problem of education. How does a consumer know how to make the right choice? And that's something we're working very hard on in our community, is figuring out how to educate consumers, make it simpler for them to choose smartly. Very, very wide range of execution for companies. I think there are such great leadership examples now in the marketplace that more and more companies are beginning to understand how to approach the problem. But we definitely see, I think, you know, I've been involved in many markets in the course of my professional history, and I've seen many markets start new and then grow, and it's very typical for a new market to have a lot of excitement at the beginning of the market, a lot of people jumping into the market without maybe knowing what all is involved, and then people dropping off because they pull back, they fail because they jump too soon, and then again from there the market takes off because the people get into the business with a better understanding the second time around. And that's what's happening now from our perspective with sustainability. Companies maybe jumped too quickly to call themselves a green product or a green company, didn't really understand what the implications were of sustainability, pulled back, and now they're reassessing not to quit the effort, but to get smarter about the effort before they move forward. Sustainability procurement efforts are one of the top ways companies are adopting right now to make their own story more sustainable. So very strongly encourage all companies to look at their purchasing and procurement policies and their partnership policies and try to assess where they can provide preferential purchasing wherever possible to those suppliers of theirs that are also committed to sustainability. I mean, the communication professional is at the heart of the problem and the opportunity. We need to educate employees in companies. We need to educate our suppliers, and we need to educate our consumers, our customers. And our interest is in creating collaboration across the value network so that there's more seamless communication and more coordinated communication about sustainability to the consumer base. I think greenwashing does happen. I think it's a question of how you define that term. There's a researcher in Canada who puts out a study called The 7 Deadly Sins of Greenwashing. I don't know if this has made it to Brazil or not, but this study basically asserts that only 1% of the claims, environmental claims that are being made by companies today are legitimate, and that the rest of them are some form of greenwash. I don't find that to be very productive, and find it actually to be to undermine legitimate innovation that is going on out there. I think a lot of companies are ignorant in some ways of the depth of implications of their claims sometimes, and I think it's great that consumers are becoming more intelligent and asking harder questions, because that's forcing companies to self-assess and ask harder questions themselves. And so I mean, I think that's the beauty of the world today in a social media rich environment. There's a very quick feedback loop for companies. If they make a claim that's not legitimate, it will come back to them to no benefit, in fact to their detriment. So there is no wisdom in that. And greenwash, it happens, I think, less and less intentionally, quite often accidentally.